Hello and welcome back to Podcasting is Praxis. I'm David and my pronouns are he and him.
I'm James and my pronouns are they and them.
I'm Jamie, he, him.
I'm Rob and my pronouns are he and him.
I'm Alistair, my pronouns are he and him also.
And this week to join us we have special guest, Mick Wright.
I'm Mick, my pronouns are he, him.
Okay, so that aside, I think we've got some news stuff, and we've also got a very fucking cursed article to read, which Rob was malicious enough to give me early sight of. So I've already read the thing, and I hated it. So look forward to
be
that
fair,
later
it's
on.
Mick's fault, because I saw it on his timeline first. So I'm not taking any of the blame. Essentially, Mick, I invited you on to take the blame for the article read this week.
That's fine.
Following Mick on Twitter is very much like mainlining just the abyss of the worst of the media in our country.
I think, as of this moment, I've just discovered Giles Curran's new alt as well, so that's great.
Oh yes.
Is Giles Curran, is he the one?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Can keep that, and I fucking hell.
No, here's the thing, David. You can just beep that, and everyone will know what we're talking about.
No, anyway, so the stuff I wanted to talk about before we get to the article, it's a Tory themed episode this week. If you'll forgive the theming of such a thing,
I will not.
But for right, so Boris is in some trouble. Parties are still boring. I don't really care. But there are two operations, quote unquote, because Tories were still very much playing with soldier hats on, going on to save Boris at the moment. The first is, and I shit you not, I think this is like by the Tories' own invention, is Operation Save Big Dog, which is to blame the staff at Number 10 for all the parties they may or may not have had.
They do love a tedious
incredible.
fucking they do love a tedious fucking like operation name. Although there was the somewhat more ghastly Operation Last Gasp was the previous stupid name.
Well, I thought that was going to be Operation Red Meat is the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, Operation.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought like, you know what I mean? You were either going to say Operation Red Meat or say something that couldn't possibly be stupider than Operation Red Meat, but no, well done them.
Operation Save Clifford.
Yeah.
No, there is actually an even stupider one called something like Operation Shoot Rilke or something, and it's to do with like the former big dog of some old PM who was shot for being rabid, and that's like the plot to overthrow Boris.
What, putting down a rabid dog?
No, he wasn't rabid. He was just old and decrepit or something. I don't really know. The plot to topple Boris is like Operation Kill a Dog. There's Operation Save a Dog and Operation Kill a Dog. It's very
Operation Jeeves Fetch Me My Hammer.
But yeah, the bit I wanted to talk about before we get to the article is Operation Red Meat, which is the thing that's supposed to like placate both Tory members and especially Tory MPs and even more especially the Tory press to show that there's still life in the old dog, if you'll forgive that particular pun.
I won't.
Did Rob? I don't know if you saw the response from, I think it was the Ghanaian embassy earlier today. Did you see
I
this?
did not. What?
They misquoted the name of this Operation Red Meat as Operation Dead Meat. Because part of the yet again tediously titled Operation Red Meat is to is they're rolling out the fucking build a big fortress to keep all the horrible migrants that want to come here in, and this time they just slapped fucking Ghana on the front of it. Last time it was
Jesus Christ.
Was it Albania? I think was the last country they tried this with.
Yeah.
And each time these countries get wind of this, they're like, "What the fuck? Absolutely not!" And this time it was Ghana.
It was Albania last time, and Tom Newton-Dunn misgendered the the foreign minister of Albania. She was not pleased about it.
Of course he did. So anyway, Operation Red
One
Meat
day,
is supposed to be
they'll find a tiny principality somewhere that doesn't have internet, and like, you know what I mean, and be able to claim what they like.
Yeah, they're gonna build a big fortress on Sentinel Island.
So anyway, Operation Red Meat, as it's called, is essentially this thing of like dangling shiny baubles in front of the Tory in crowd and see if that placates them. And because some of them are absurd, well, they're all absurd, most of them are vicious, I thought we should talk a little bit about them, because there's been a veritable blizzard of them. There's a whole bunch of them. Alistair already mentioned the thing where we're now going to use the Navy to gun down boats or something in the channel, which I don't want to talk about because it's too depressing. But there's 4 other things I do want to talk about. They want to do something about energy prices, the justice system, the NHS, and the last thing I wanted to talk about was the BBC, of course, because that's what all the Liberals got into a snit about in the last couple of days. But first, let's talk about gas prices, because that's one of my favourite topics and has been for the last couple of months. I can't stop talking about gas prices. So the new idea...
I was just going to say, it has been fun explaining to like people that I know in real life, as it were, like what the fuck is going on with the gas prices, and it like just explaining. Actually, it is just a series of like fucking DLC skins for energy wholesale, which are equally as valuable.
So yeah, essentially they're releasing now an NFT pack to go along with the skins. Right, so current gas prices are dropping a little bit on the spot market, but they're still very, very high. And that means the price cap could go up from what it is now, which is 1,277 quid a year to 1,900 a year, and maybe later in the year even to 2,100 to 2,400 quid in October.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah, so that's a doubling in almost a year. Of course, this would lead to real inflation because this is actual substantive, it's energy, so it's substantive throughout the economy, which would lead to real inflation and would come at the same time as the national insurance tax hike, and there are local elections, so the Tories need a thing to get this energy price cap, like keep it where it is and not hit people with a big energy bill because they're worried about the elections, etc. They don't actually care about you sitting in the dark and dying, I must say. This is really just internal politics, and again, it's to play to the papers. If you want to learn more about the structural reasons, blah blah, check out episode 103, Energy Hell. It's alright.
It is. So, I do. Whenever we talk about
ringing fucking endorsement there though.
Whenever we talk about like the cost of living increases, rent going up, gas, all that, everything going up, and inflation is set at like 1.5% or some shit.
It's a bit. It's rising at the moment now, but that really is...
I mean, the reality is things are more expensive, so like inflation is going up, but because the like surplus of like liquidity in the economy gets hoarded up by various people for various reasons. For some reason, this seems to just balance out this arbitrary number, which means that inflation is at low, actually, unless you're very poor, in which case it is very, very bad.
Yeah. So essentially, what are we going to do? Because obviously the Tories are never going to nationalise the energy industry because that's not what they do. So this is according to the Financial Times. The UK is exploring a radical intervention in the power market. They're going
to expropriate and nationalise them?
Almost. What's the other thing they could do?
Absolutely nothing. Like the worst possible thing.
Just get Mark Francois and David Davies to dress up like SEAL team members and like storm through a window somewhere to lower the prices.
Is it just pay the companies the difference between what they think a reasonable amount to charge consumers is and what the market actually says it'll be?
Pretty much. The initiative would be the state would make payments to energy suppliers when wholesale gas prices rise sharply in a bid to soften the blow to consumers. Under the initiative, energy suppliers, i.e. your gas company, Octopus maybe, James, energy suppliers would receive payments from the government when gas prices exceed a certain threshold, so they would then not have to pass the increase on the consumer. So you keep the...
Socialise the profits... privatize the loss. Also, the other way around, even. But yeah, excellent shit.
Well, I mean, technically, that's not how it might not work, because the idea is that, like, while the government would subsidize the moment, wholesale gas prices go over a certain price that would impact you with the energy cap. But if the gas price dips below that thing, the government would take back profits and that would balance it out. This is, of course, assuming that there's a sort of median of gas prices that we're going to go back to an equilibrium and that it is not a permafuck situation.
Well, there fucking isn't if the government is planning to take money back off companies. Should that happen?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I expect gas will get radically more expensive because reasons.
And like, let's be fair. This is just this Tory government. I'm sure Keir Starmer is in favour of national. No.
Is he still alive?
But... Tragically,
by some
yes.
definitions of the term, yes. Even better, if you remember episode 97 when we talked about Archegos, the way they would do this with the industry is through the synthetic contract called contracts for difference, where you settle up, where you don't really buy any gas or trade any gas, you just make bets on the price of gas.
Every time you start talking about financial instruments, I tune this shit out because it just sounds like someone's trying to explain EVE Online to me. You know what I mean? Fucking synthetic contracts. Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, I don't want to buy any robots. Fuck off.
But would it surprise you to learn that this idea also has the support of the energy suppliers?
That's a shocking fucking revelation if ever there was one.
Yeah,
you know what
because
I mean?
essentially
the government's going to give us
the
government's going to give us more money. Oh yeah, that sounds like, well, I guess we can live with it. You know what I mean? Through gritted teeth if need be.
So essentially it means that if the differential between wholesale markets and the price cap remain high, the state is on the hook paying the difference essentially into infinity until the price goes down. But why, if you're an energy company, would you not find a way to keep the price high? Because now essentially the UK government has established a price floor. Like, the UK government says we are always willing to pay up to X amount, this threshold that they're going to set, or that they may set. So, like, why would you not keep gas prices in the UK infinitely high? Because there's no downside.
Have we just created infinite demand?
Yeah.
Whoops.
And also,
is that good?
And also, like, if you think about it, how would the government ever, like, say, okay, no, we're done with this subsidy mechanism, this contract for different stuff, we're going to stop doing it? Because then essentially, it's like QE. The moment you're going to make the energy supply sector of the United Kingdom, like, dependent on these extra subsidies. So that means when you yank the subsidies out, they're going to go into withdrawal and then collapse and die, like so many of them are doing now. But there would just be more money floating through the system. Also,
I see no problems with this, Rob. It's fine. It's just we will do the world's worst version of a planned economy forever.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. It's the Soviet Union, but shit and expensive. I think I read that somewhere. I heard that somewhere else. Anyway, that's more fun with the gas market. Who wants to go to court now and interact with our wonderful criminal justice system?
Yeah, it's about time, really.
I don't know what we're being charged with, but we didn't do it. Or maybe Jamie did it, but the rest of us didn't.
Right. So because of because of COVID, there's a huge backlog in, especially the criminal justice system in the courts, and they found Dominic Raab has found a great way of getting around that particular stricture.
Is it summary executions?
Well, almost. It's
is it wintry executions?
Every time you reach pension age, you're handed a Winchester rifle, and you're just allowed to go to town like the Purge.
I was about to ask if you were appointing more judges, and I guess that kind of is a way of doing it. Just like fucking Judge Dredd to solve the problems of like Mega City 1 or Non-Silent
Judge
1
Almost Dead.
Yeah.
Just Robocop.
Could you imagine just an ancient Judge Dredd on like a mobility scooter, just like gunning down the criminals? I'd watch that movie.
I think it's going to be reality in a couple of years, genuinely.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, so the idea is that magistrates' courts will be able to inflict more than twice the sentences than they're allowed to now. So right now, if you are being charged with a criminal offence where the punishment is 6 months or less, you go to magistrate court. 6 months or over, you go to Crown Court, which is much more involved, and that's where the big backlog is. So the idea is magistrates' courts would then be able to sentence people involved into crimes up to 12 months. Now, magistrates' courts tend to be a lot quicker, and they tend to sort of be more under the hammer, quick justice. So that probably means that more people will
do you know what? I love the idea of fucking quick justice is not necessarily a good thing when you're talking about going to court.
No. It also probably means that therefore the amount of people in prison for small beer crimes would increase quite substantially. However, they have not accompanied this move with any additional funding for prisons.
Oh, it goes without saying there was no going to be any more funding.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fucking terrible stopgap, and I really can't wait until like the magistrates' courts are fucking like backlogged, and they decide traffic wardens are all going to be issued with like a fucking lawgiver pistol and a giant motorbike.
However, there is a small snag in the plan, which is if you are convicted
just
in
one.
Well, there's several, but the one particular one is if you are convicted in magistrates' court, you can appeal your case, and the appeal would take place in a Crown Court. So you would just, take your backlog back to the Crown Court.
Fucking incredible, like. One weird trick discovered by a local fucking like magistrate. That's amazing.
Justice ministers hate him.
Yeah. Do you know what it is as well though? When word of that trick gets out and it just like fucking makes like the backlog even worse. Do you know what I mean? They're absolutely going to blame like people knowing things is the root cause of the issue.
I mean, they'll definitely blame more activist lawyers. That's, of course, the next trick in the bag, because that's always the trick in the bag. Yeah. Although, weirdly, I read one more thing which I didn't understand. Like, I said there's no new funding coming in for prisons, of course not. But the Ministry of Justice is projecting that they'll have 20,000 more prisoners by 2026. And I'm not really sure where those guys are supposed to come from. I mean, we'll find a reason, but, that... Like, how can you already say, well, we look forward to having 20,000 more inmates in a couple of years?
Well, I mean, we've seen what they want to clamp down on, and presumably at least some proportion, especially if the bill that was in the laws the other day, the policing bill. Yeah. If that had gone through like relatively unaltered, then I can only imagine like a significant proportion of that 20,000 would have come from that.
Yeah,
and all I'm saying is that after these laws pass, right? If we get to choose our cellmates, and I'm choosing Jamie because I at least like to laugh during the time that I'm being kept in squalor and poverty. And
I reckon Jamie would just like end up somehow becoming the warden, even though he's an inmate.
A large series of very improbable events. Yeah, I can. Yeah. Anyway, turning away from our friends in the justice system, what about the National Health Service? There's more Tory answers to remove the backlog of NHS waiting times.
Oh, is that still alive, is it?
Barely, but yeah.
By some definitions of the word, yes.
Very good. So this is from The Times. This is a new thought experiment by Sajid Javid, our Randian health minister. Academy-style hospitals will be set up to provide patchy NHS leadership under a shake-up plan by Sajid Javid to deal with post-pandemic waiting lists. Now,
I'm sorry, did you say the words academy-style hospitals?
I did.
Get the fuck out of town.
Because he did specifically lift the ideas of academy trusts from Tony Blair. And he said, well, that worked so well for the school sector, why don't we do it to hospitals?
I can't wait for fucking Toby Young to decide who gets the top of the waiting list.
Mick, you've got a lot of experience with schools and their organisation. Would you recommend this type of change to the NHS?
Yeah, academies are a shit show, so I can't wait to have that applied to health. Really great. Just no running in the corridors.
This is the kind of inspired thinking you get when you've got a Fabergé head.
It's hospitals that pride themselves on being the strictest hospitals in the country.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. The second you said that, like, I just saw, like, in my third eye, like, a vision of the future.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to happen at some point.
And much like the schools, if you can't pay for your lunch, you're not going to have one.
Yeah, Nurse Ratchet is going to get a byline in Spiked. I mean,
you don't get your treatment unless you finish all your dinner.
What do you think? What do you think the fucking like Tories' great like health plan will be when the waiting lists are too long at all the fucking like S&M hospitals we've suddenly like sprung up around the country? Do you know what I mean?
So failing hospitals could be turned into so-called reform trusts, which doesn't sound ominous at all. And they would either be led by the normal managers in the NHS, who everybody loves, or, and this is according to the Times, or even outside sponsors, ...
Ronald McDonald presents St. Bart's Royal Hospital.
Yeah. What if you just put the Ronald McDonald house inside the hospital? That would just make it much more efficient.
Next to like the fucking W.H. Smith of fucking Mackie D's.
Yeah, I regret to inform you the CEO of this hospital is the Hamburglar.
Wes Streeton is only the shadow minister for health, I'll have you know.
Amazon's Tom Clancy's like the Division's fucking like trauma wing or some shit. Your doctor has to is legally required to like maintain character and wear night vision goggles at all times.
Finally, the NHS Tom Clancy crossover we've all been crying out for.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Like fucking. I'm sure like anyone who's ever been like on a fucking military operation will tell you that if you do suffer a fucking like trauma, the best people to deal with it are like fucking tactical people.
I was just thinking about the Assassin's Creed themed hospital now.
I prefer
why do all these lab coats have such large
a series of odd accidents that keep occurring?
I don't know. I'm extremely here for the return to Rob talking about Assassin's Creed. Like, it's been a while. It's good.
Yeah,
it's nice to be back.
Anyway, so further, according to the Times, Sajid David has become convinced that an uneven quality of leadership is holding back the health sector, and that bureaucracy, risk aversion, and the lack of central support prevent the best bosses from innovating.
Oh, well, we love it when bosses innovate, don't we?
Don't we just? Also, I hate it when my hospitals are risk averse. I want my hospitals to take more risks, damn it. Especially with my life. I would find that very soothing and comforting.
Yeah, just a surgeon deciding to innovate on the fucking operating table and like replace your arms with your legs.
I hate words. I hate when people like in business start talking about like innovating and being risk averse and all that sort of shit. It's like, just go and jump out of a fucking helicopter and leave the rest of us alone. Do you know what I mean?
I just like to imagine the doctor kind of being, well, we're not sure what's wrong with you, but let's try a few rounds of chemo just to be, let's experiment a bit. Improvisational medicine like jazz.
On the future NHS, every single doctor will be house MD.
Now you just come in A&E and you have to spin the wheel, and either you get House MD or you get the Hamburglar, or you get one of the main characters from Assassin's Creed to do the surgery with those little knives, the little wrist knives.
Countdown to it being homeopathy on the NHS, basically.
Yeah,
there already is actually.
Yeah, there already is if you live in like a yuppie area.
Yeah.
The thing is, all of these things we've just said are all way cooler than what it'll actually be. It's like welcome to to hospital provided by Ryman's, and your wounds aren't stitched up. They just use staples they couldn't sell.
Yeah, I mean, like the future it'll be hospital, but it'll not have the O. It'll be like hospital because it'll be an app.
Good to see Matt Hancock making a return to government, though.
Yeah.
And the new discourse is, now that Matt Hancock has been spotted swimming in the river, there's a new is Matt Hancock fuckable discourse. And I guarantee you, right now, that Flora Gill is out there writing a sexy Matt Hancock column. Guarantee you it.
Oh, God. Why did you have to remind me that Flora Gill exists? I mean, I don't.
If he's been swimming in the river,
this is how Mick makes a living, Alistair.
Is he going to develop some?
A living is a stretch.
Sorry, Jamie.
I said if he's been swimming in a river, is he going to develop some kind of mutant power?
I mean, he's already got so many.
He's going to become better at parkour. He's the power to know all about your body.
Jesus Christ.
Once again, I refer you back to Assassin's Creed. He's going to go into the Assassin's Creed Matrix. That's where he's going to learn superpowers.
Oh, I don't think anyone else knows what that is.
For all you Assassin's Creed heads out there, that one's for you.
I mean, I don't know. I'd be up for it if nothing else than to see him swan dive off a roof. But anyway, carry on.
If you know what I'm on about, just write your answers on an in-game collectible and send it to me. Anyway, so the last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the red meat is, of course, the incipient death of the BBC by the vile Nadine Dorries, Secretary of State for Culture Wars. And which apparently is very bad, and we should feel bad about it. And why don't you have David Baddiel's back? Why don't you?
I mean, it does strike me that all these pleas for, like, you know, saving the BBC for the good things it does, and I feel like the good things that the BBC has done are things that it has done almost outside of living memory in the that far ago. And I mean, we were talking about this the other day. Well, James, you were talking about this the other day. How, like, the BBC or BBC Worldwide, for example, is like a CIA-funded propaganda tool, and
So like for those who don't know, people will say, well, X about the BBC may be bad, but Y about the BBC is good.
Yeah,
and the problem is
they always say David Attenborough, as if like Sky didn't pay him a fortune to go and fucking like shag others on their network or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if you dig into whatever Y is, you will soon discover that Y is actually also fucking cursed, right? Case in point, BBC World Service. People are like, oh well, the BBC, the international coverage is quite good, and it's like, no, the BBC World Service is literally funded by the American State Department, right? That's a bit odd. Why is the American government funding the BBC World Service? And it makes much more sense when you realise that by American State Department read CIA, and they're funding the BBC World Service because it's basically international Western propaganda. And thus it has to be a little bit more presentable and like technically good, because it's got to serve a propaganda function internationally, whereas the domestic shit doesn't have that same pressure. You know, the Americans are getting what they pay for. And if you don't believe me, you can look this. This was an article in The Guardian like 10 plus years ago talking about the new funding model. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, everything you look at.
To be fair, they accepted that new funding for the worldwide specifically after yet another round of cuts, I think, on the Cameron back then.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is the other thing though. Like, the BBC, like, are just fucking the 2019 election. Like, just, you know, picture all the shit that happened there, and how Laura Koonsberg will bend over in half to cater to the whims of CCHQ, and what do they get? They get fucking getting eviscerated for the last decade, and then
I mean, do you think?
And you come to me in your hour of need? I think not.
Do you think anyone, like any of the Tory fucking like pricks in BBC News or BBC Politics, who've been doing all of that like fucking like legwork for the Tory party, do you think they give the slightest fuck about the BBC dying? Or do you think
I mean, they'll all be fine.
Like they've all got jobs lined up as like fucking like communications officers.
Yeah, like they're all okay. Laura Kuenssberg is absolutely fine. She will land on her feet, no problem.
And specifically in the context of the whole red meat thing, and therefore in the context of let's take the pressure off Boris, is, this is what Rupert Murdoch's been wanting for 10 years, and he controls half the press. So if you'd say to him, by 2024, we will freeze until 2024, we'll freeze the license fee, and then after that we'll have a discussion about just getting rid of the whole fucking thing, it becomes a lot easier, simply because, if Rupert Murdoch says, okay, we're going to take our foot off the gas when it comes to all the reporting about the parties and all this shit, then it just means Boris stays in power longer, which is, like, all these 4 stories have one theme in common, which is, here we will just brutalize the rest of society so Boris can hang around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about Boris, right? It's
Tory party hegemony.
Yeah, it's a longer running ideological project that the BBC has fallen victim to. And it's like, if you know anything about this, right, is you can say, oh, they did everyone dirty back in 2017, 2019, but it kind of, like, from the top down, it's rotted because the Tories replaced all the board of governors and similar with their basically, yes men, and put them in with this particular vision, which was to reform the political and news organisation because it wasn't conservative enough. And just it's it is the fruit of an ideological project, and you might say that I want to seriously address something here. There's people who are saying, well, yes, but if you give in, you're giving them what they want, and it's like, they've already won. They won some time ago. They won before 2017. They won like before 2015 when they were already monstering Corbyn and anything else on the left. Like, they've already won. The BBC, first of all, this idealized version didn't exist, even if you want to go back and look at it. They've always done just shit, like stuff that suits the powers of the day.
I mean, it goes back at least as far as Indie Ref, right?
Yeah.
At least as far.
It goes back to Wreath.
Yeah, it does.
It goes back to Wreath. It goes back to war censorship. It goes back, and then if you want to go in the more modern age, it goes back to the Thatcher era when Jacob Rees-Mogg's father was on the board of directors for the BBC. It goes back to, the rat fucking of the BBC by the Blair government. Like, the last remaining sort of vestiges of anything that looked like independence was gone then. It's like, this is necrophilia at this point.
It really is.
The thing is, as well, anyone who's saying, oh, well, we have to fight because otherwise we're just surrendering and giving the Tories what they want, I'm going to put money on every single one of those cunts being like a centrist melt who fucking, do you know what I mean, believes that like Keir Starmer is like so forensic and so right to not like challenge the government during a like pandemic or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like we only have to fight and we only have to like fucking stand up for like what they want now because like, you know what I mean? Fucking Horizon or whatever bullshit the BBC does is under threat, and they quite like to watch that occasionally. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not giving any fucking support to an organisation that goes out of its fucking way to demonise trans people. Like, there's no need for it.
Also, really, 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Also, realistically, right? This is all part of what has been going on. It's 2012. Olympic opening ceremony politics, right? This is not like what is this hysterical liberal ejaculation over the BBC is going to be destroyed, right? Nadine Dorries is not going to be culture secretary in 2028, right? This shit has been. No, of course not. The Tories have said variants of this, like Ed Vaizey was on the radio this morning, right? And when he was culture secretary, he was talking this kind of bullshit, right? And then it just doesn't happen. It doesn't. It's performative, right? It won't happen.
It's just a big stick to dangle in front of the Murdoch press to see if they can get them back in line. Yeah,
10 years. 10 years from now, it will be the same shit. I guarantee you, it will be the same shit. And actually, the thing to watch with Murdoch, what they'll really give Murdoch, and easier to give him, is take Ofcom, which is already a joke, and make it totally ridiculous by completely getting rid of any kind of legal restrictions on what can be said on Rupert Murdoch's new channel, Talk TV. That'll be the big thing. You just completely strip any legal restrictions that Ofcom has to create a US style, TV environment.
Yeah, Fox News.
Yeah, because now we are we're the like photo negative of the US, which is that the US printed press is pretty bad, but it still does things like, for instance, conflict of interest statements, right? And it's quite bland.
Take shots at the British press as well.
Yeah, and it's quite bland. Funny. Yeah, I'm told that's because someone at the New York Times is a cousin of someone in the British left. That's why that's happening.
Cousin of the British left, come on podcast.
Yeah. I will read you one bit from the Times, which I thought was kind of bleakly hilarious. Many Tory MPs favour a Netflix-style model of subscription for the BBC, but even those who think the licence fee is outdated and think a subscription model would be the right thing to go to, have realised that this is not possible without every home in the UK having a high-speed internet connection.
Oh, whoops! What was the other guy talking about that time? That thing, the internet for never mind.
The policy that BBC's Politics Live put on the screen as broadband communism.
Yeah,
that's where that phrase comes from. It comes from Politics Live, where they put that on the chyron.
Yeah, I'd love to do an impartialism.
It's like, I mean, this is a problem. You know, people are kind of saying, "Oh, you need to save the BBC because," and it's like, no, because the BBC killed Purda stone cold dead in the 2017 and 2019 elections. Like it was a tenuous thing before that normally existed, and in 2017 they mostly played it straight. They mostly were like, okay, we'll try and abide by the rules, and Jeremy Corbyn came very close to winning. And so for 2019 they said, okay, that little bit,
fuck. So
they said that little bit of violating Purda we did last time, just pretend Purda doesn't exist, go for it, and you saw the kind of result of it. So it's like saving. There is no point to saving the BBC. There's no point. What do you hope to achieve? Do you want to reform the BBC from within?
No, they don't. They just want it's just one of the things that, like, in their eyes, it's acceptable to be proud to be British about. Like the NHS, they don't actually give a shit about like how the NHS is funded or how badly it operates or how it fucking treats people. Do you know what I mean? It's that they want to be able to like say to their American friends, "Oh well, yeah, we've got the NHS." You know what I mean?
The really insidious thing about the BBC though is it is essentially just Fox News with the veneer of respectability and proprietary.
I don't think it's that bad, but like,
really, you don't think that the fucking 8-part podcast demonising trans
all
people?
That was fucking disgusting.
Things
but
like that.
It's not. I mean, have you ever tried to sit down and watch an hour of Fox and Friends? Like, because that's at a whole different level.
I have, and here's the thing: the BBC accomplishes the same effect, except it's subtler about it.
Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly my point. Yeah.
Anyway, with all that out of the way, how about we read something nice? Because, as I said, all Operation Red Meat
changed the article.
We're reading something nice, are we? Is it Tommy Twocomb's Twitter feed?
Oh, that's a gift that keeps on giving, much like Tommy did twice.
Yeah.
Everyone crack open your Coke.
Yeah. Before we start, though,
I'm already on my second Coke.
Yeah. I need to.
I've got to say, sorry. Hikiko Normie had the very best tweet on this, and like shout out to her if she's listening to this.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, because like I said, all this Operation Red Meat business is to save Boris, and obviously, like, the bloom's gone somewhat off this rose. And was it 2 days ago, Mick? I can't quite remember. There was a frankly insane sort of Victorian mourning piece in the Times by Helen Rumbelow called "The Boris and
I'm sorry, called what?
Helen Rumbelow, yeah.
Rumbelow, yeah.
We'll get a name check on that.
It was last Thursday. Last Thursday.
I'm sorry. The amusing thing for me here is Alistair too young to remember Rumbelows?
Yes.
Jamie, I'm too fucking young to remember Rumbelows. What the fuck is a Rumbelow?
It was like a fucking TV hire shop.
Yeah.
It went out of
business.
90s.
It went out of business in 1995.
Yeah.
when I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
What on earth? Oh,
where students used to rent their tellies from.
Why would you? No, never mind.
It's a brilliant British. It was a brilliant
millennials
British,
love to rent.
It was a brilliant British success story. It never made a profit in its 24 years of existence. Not once.
And now we just apply that to large sections of the economy. It's great.
Yeah.
And even during that time, it was the sponsor of the Football League Cup from 1990 to 1992. Incredible. Not making a profit. Sponsor of the League Cup.
Maybe if they hadn't sponsored the League Cup, they would have made a profit.
There you go.
We stand a communist Rumbelows.
Rob, let's hear from this not communist Rumbelow.
Yeah, so the article's called "The Boris and Carrie Johnson Show: 904 Days of Chaos."
Is it too late for me to pull the eject cord on my participant?
Yes.
Do they go into exacting detail on onto the cheerleaders of Boris Johnson from his rise from Mayor of London to Prime Minister? Because I very much doubt that that's something they're going to go into.
I think I hear my router falling down the stairs.
No, it's like I said, it's very maudlin, it's very Victorian. Anyway, most biographies of national leaders are contained in overlong and underread books, dull, policy-rich tomes. That is not the case with Boris Johnson. To keep up with the 904 days of intense days since he took power would not be possible in plodding book form, but Helen's going to try.
His 72 Virgins novel? That was last I heard, quite a plodding tome of racism and bigotry.
It would need the schlocky melodrama of a Mexican telenovela full of almost unbelievable plot twists about personal drama and deception, a secret third wedding.
For fuck's sake, Rob, why are you...
Honestly, just shut up.
This gets much worse. Worse. You're not even...
No, Rob, don't stop there. It gets much worse.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up, Helen Rumbelow, or whatever the fucking name was. Do you know what I mean? This is like... you go, it's like it's got all the drama of a telenovela. It fucking hasn't. His life is boring as shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless you're the kind of like melt dipshit who like just like goes into fucking like spasms of delight when you hear that he bought his curtains on the black web or some shit, and you just like that's all you tweet about for like 18 days straight with no food or water. You know what I mean?
But can you imagine his face when that cheese was delivered?
Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, you know what I mean. I bet he was fucking devastated.
Sir, I think you've cut the cheese for the last time, sir. Well, nevertheless.
Or last week when that clown of idiots, when that posse of clown idiots...
the fucking, the microfabric flash mob. Yeah.
But you know that whole thing of people dressed up as Boris Johnson? That was for a YouTube video. It wasn't even a protest. It was just, Jackmate, the YouTuber, just doing a YouTube stunt, which has no political element to it.
Genuinely thought you were going to say it was led by donkeys.
No, you know what Led by Donkeys have done today, and if you haven't seen it, it's honestly one of the worst things I've ever seen. It is.
I do not want to.
It is a...
God, no, I haven't seen it.
They've taken one of the Line of Duty interview scenes and cut Boris Johnson into it and got actors from Line of Duty to re-voice parts of it to make it seem like he's being interviewed. And everyone, anyone with FBPE in their username has lost their shit over it. And I didn't mind that show. It's retrospectively ruined it for me. I'm actually going to take an ice pick and hammer it up my nostril later to destroy the part of my brain that consumed that show.
I haven't even watched.
That's what they call trot entryism.
I haven't even seen Line of Duty. And Like I fucking love that. Do you know what I mean? Your audible anguish at describing that has given me life. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Honestly, I'm still sitting here enjoying the Trotsky joke that David just made. That's possibly
I love that they got the actual actors involved as well.
Just
That's
ruin everything.
You know what I mean?
They just they're going to redo that show, and then you go onto iPlayer and discover that all the characters are now being played by EU Supergirl.
Anyway, last night, Johnson returned to his flat and family home above 11 Downing Street, filled with reminders of the many exhausting storylines since he arrived, with Carrie Simons, then his girlfriend, here at this house and in office. This is not a place for statesmanlike sober reflection on a disastrous day, apologising to the nation at PMQs. I know the rage they feel with me, to grab fast-failing support from public and party, and to wonder how long he, at 57, has left before he packs up their expensive furniture and leaves. This is a property filled, because it is filled with the Johnsons, with chaotic energy.
Can I
These
just say,
motherfuckers don't know what chaotic energy is. Do you know what I mean? Personally,
Said Jamie,
like a threat.
Said Jamie as he got up and collected his gun.
Sitting on a throne made of pure chaos.
It is strewn with the usual noisy bedlam surrounding a newborn baby, his daughter Romy, just a month out of hospital. Boris himself was rushed to hospital in an ambulance from this flat in April 2020 with a life-threatening case of COVID. Less than a month before Romy's older brother Wilfred, now a fizzing, wildly curly-haired blonde toddler, was born.
A fizzing toddler.
Yes.
Honestly, the only fucking way that Boris Johnson's rise to power and his existence as the Prime Minister is actually any, interesting is purely through the lens of the people who have bent themselves over backward, for Laura Kuenssberg being a good example of this kind of person, and debased themselves and the positions of power that they have held over the last, 15 years or so, in order to enable this. And curious how now people have decided to pay attention to all the shit he has done for his entire political career and professional journalistic career, and it is bad now, and hasn't been bad for some reason in the entirety of his existence in public life.
Yeah, but in order to do so,
and I think
we must rend our garments and perform Victorian mourning rituals.
Right, but before you move on, I just want to say a fizzing toddler sounds like a cocktail they would serve on Ted Heath's yacht.
Thank you, Jay, for the nice bookend there.
Oh, fantastic.
Here are the rooms where a staffer is reported to have found Carrie in tears over the near death of her unborn baby's father. The stairs that Carrie, recovering from childbirth, trudged down to serve the invalid Boris his food before returning to look after tiny Wilfred. The stairs where Carrie was so depleted she had to sit down on them to regain energy to walk back up.
The energy stairs.
Oh, I also hate Mondays.
This is like fucking. When you say this was in the Times,
yeah, the best bit's coming. The best bit's coming.
Because this honestly sounds like something a fucking someone would turn in for GCSE English. It's fucking atrocious. Also, every time you repeat the stairs, I hear it in Quasimodo's voice.
Even the dog, Dylan, adopted by Carrie a few months after she moved in, is a kind of spirit animal of its male master, a scruffy and libidinous survivor.
Sired untold numbers of children throughout the country.
A Jack Russell cross saved from euthanasia, dressed occasionally in a Union Jack coat, who has a reputation for urinating on or attempting to mate with objects in his path.
So a dog then.
That's a weird way to reveal that Boris Johnson has a piss fetish, but alright.
and the implication that Boris Johnson tries to lick his own genitals.
Well, that's like.
Are we sure this isn't confused here? I'm pretty sure that a Union Jack coat's Ian Murray. You're now picturing Ian Murray enjoying piss. Enjoy that.
Hello. Yeah. All right, David, thank you for that one.
Even the sumptuous fresh wallpaper on the walls may seem to close in on Johnson.
Sumptuous wallpaper. Think about writing.
Sumptuous fresh,
Sumptuous
fresh wallpaper.
Yeah, not like that processed wallpaper you buy in Aldi. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Is this the same newspaper that... Fuck. Is this the same wallpaper that was a subject of a great deal of interest recently?
Yes, it was. It was ordered by Carrie at 840 quid a roll in a grandiose decorating bill that... decorating bill that at moments made deadly PR for Johnson, in the manner of Oscar Wilde's allegedly dying words on his garish wall coverings, one or the other of us has got to go.
That's a single sentence. That's one sentence.
That's one sentence.
Yeah, this is... I mean, like, that sort of bill is what happens when instead of shopping locally like a sensible person, you buy from sumptuouswallpaper.com.
Fresh.
It's a shame it's a shame they didn't go out of business in 1995.
Yeah, that's their slogan, isn't it? Like sumptuouswallpaper.com, eat fresh.
This feels like Oh, very good. This reads like something that was written by someone who's got English as a second language, because here's the thing. Sumptuous, right? Its actual definition is splendid and expensive looking, and I just double-checked that to make sure I'm not, like, losing my mind. But as everyone knows, it isn't a perfect, like, synonym for words like luxurious and magnificent and opulent. In practice, it's an unspoken rule of English in modern usage that sumptuous only really gets used with food these days.
I was going to say, I've only ever heard it precede the word feast.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's the thing.
I use it quite frequently in my personal life.
Well, of course you fucking do.
Yes, you do. A sumptuous small plate array.
I imagine you've got that tattooed on your forehead like the Joker.
Like, I mean, it's a fucking... Rob's dinner table is like an array of small dinner plates, much like the James Webb Telescope. Like,
with the Prince Andrew one in the middle, though.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So yeah, this article definitely reads, to me, like it's written by someone who's sort of like... They've studied English, but never actually spoken it, if that makes sense. I don't know, does that track, Mick, or... Who wrote this? Who wrote this again?
Helen Rumble. She's a feature editor.
Helen, yeah. She also runs a TV rental shop in her spare time.
What is the charge? Papering a wall, a succulent Downing Street wall.
A delicious wall.
Oh, this is democracy manifest.
Yeah,
David,
don't you love that we live in the best timeline? Do you know what I mean?
Right. On those gilded walls of their flat, next to the splodge handprints of Wilfred.
Gilded now? Is this that edible gold foil we've heard so much about?
Hangs the soulful artwork of Johnson's mother, Charlotte Wall, who died in September last year.
How was she paid?
The same year, Carrie had a miscarriage.
That's just a fucking downer after everything that came before.
This artwork, right? This artwork.
I'm just picturing though. Do you think you can go to Salt Bay's restaurant and get some like gilded, sumptuous wallpaper?
Try, wouldn't he? He would try. Yeah. Sprinkle it with some salt. This artwork, right, that they're talking about, turns up in Tom McTague's sequel to his awful Boris profile that also came out last week, and the artwork is called "The Johnson Family Hanged by Circumstances."
Hope springs eternal.
Is it Boris coming down that zip line suspended as Mayor of London?
It depicts her husband Stanley, the wife beater, along with 4 children, all of them dangling by their arms with scared looks on their faces.
Jesus Christ.
I got nothing. Carry on.
Yeah. All right. Looking out at the dusty... Jesus Christ, it's such bad writing. It's even hard to read.
It's got no rhythm.
Looking out at the dusky London skyline at the back of the flat, Johnson would have seen through the windows the Downing Street garden, home for the party for staff held in May 2020, just weeks after...
Do you really need to specify through the windows if you said someone's looking out the back of the flat? My first instinct when I read that is to assume they're using a window and not that the back wall has been destroyed by fucking the tripods from the War of the World or something.
Yeah, like from a Wright and Crypt perspective, you only mention stuff like windows, stuff that is assumed if you're trying to draw attention to some particular quality about it. This is very weird. I also was finding it quite hard to follow that sentence as you were reading it out loud. It's weirdly put together. That bit, Boris would have seen. What was it? What was the exact language used there, Rob?
Johnson would see through the windows the Downing Street garden, home to the party full staff held in May 2020, just weeks after a catch up for those who missed the episode, Johnson was face down in intensive care and given a 50-50 chance of life, and Wilfred, his sixth child according to most unofficial counts, was born.
I survey all that I own and not a full stop amongst it.
This is not. No one has edited this. It emerged from her computer and was just immediately put into the printers. That was it, and it was just printed. No one saw it. This is word voice.
I've agonised over tweets more than this woman has over this entire article.
He may see that his chaos has tumbled out onto even these peaceful lawns. Who would guess that it would be Johnson's very own back garden that would become a crime scene where he might be trapped at last?
Steady on.
I love to like do poetic fucking like things when I'm writing. You know what I mean? Like what is fucking like it's tumbled onto these lawns or whatever the fuck that was. Jesus Christ.
Whomst among us could have so guessed that the Stygian heavens would have been rent open by Borison's own profanity and tumbling from it? Like it very much reads like, again, written by someone who doesn't speak English as a first language. And second,
it reads like as if somebody gave Pope like a traumatic brain injury and then told him to write an article.
A little bit. Like also, it reads like someone who's trying to go for this, this will be the article that is preserved in posterity and is reflected upon as, is that kind of, like, trying too hard doesn't quite cover it. Anyway.
But if Johnson
being
had
vindictive for future high school history students.
Yes!
But if Johnson had the...
Sorry, go on, Rob.
But if Johnson had the time or silence to reflect on anything, it would be this very symbol. Of course Johnson's weakness is his own backyard, because for him the personal is extraordinarily political in that Johnson's character...
hate when my weakness is my own backyard. It gets me every time.
My Achilles flower bed.
Because for him, the personal is extraordinarily political, in that Johnson's character, and by extension his home life, matters unduly to his appeal or lack of it.
Wow, man who exists in public sphere. Popularity dictated by public sphere. Crazy.
I think I hate that sentence more than any you've read out so far, because it is so mangled at the end.
Oh, it gets much worse. This is just like... It's like one of those pictures that like increase, that keeps getting repeated and worse and worse.
Mick, that is exactly what I was about to say.
It's like increasingly potato out of it. I just repeat it over and over until it becomes just nothing.
We, the voting public, were quite tolerant of his history. Were quite tolerant.
Jesus. Citation fucking needed.
Right, let me try that again, because fucking hell, this writing. We, the voting public, were quite tolerant of his history of, figuratively, creeping out the back door of his mistress's homes. However, many
figuratively?
Why do you need the figuratively?
It's in parentheses. We, the voting public, were quite tolerant of his history of, parentheses, figuratively, creeping out the back of the door of his mistress's homes.
Yeah, but we all know parentheses figuratively writes for The Independent.
Yes.
However, Many are raging at the idea of him walking out of his own back door to an illegal party during lockdown, as well as blustering and flustering to conceal the fact.
I mean, it's only a lot of people are actually very mad about all the people that died because of COVID. But like you just take issue with whatever you want to take issue with, I guess.
Yeah. Also, guaranteed she did a double cum over doing blustering and flustering. That's
like that doesn't even like. Hang on. Flustering, as in making someone else agitated or confused. Who's he's blustering in this strained metaphor? Like, this is someone who's like, yes, I am a wordsmith, and I am in love with the turns of phrase which flow like liquid honey off the tongue.
I'll tell you who he's flustering. He's flustering me by proxy, this fucking article being written.
Yeah. Actually, yes.
I think this is the best article we've ever read, quite frankly.
I mean, the one about clearing up bees for 120 quid was pretty good.
Yeah, this is probably
also
the
from the Times, by the way.
I've ever read.
Keeping up with the Johnsons takes more than a double meaning now. Not just... Jesus wept. Not just their or, perhaps more accurately, her, taste for the more aspirationally luxurious decor, clothes and holiday, their post-holiday to mystique was the source of yet another parliamentary... another parliamentary investigation over funding, but also their drama, period.
This is like someone trying to transcribe a stroke.
Yeah,
dictated but not read is at the end of this.
Can't believe Maggie Thatcher's last words were prophetic.
Burn toast after reading.
This is the real shit, Jamie. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So I've cut a bunch of shit here because it's not interesting. If
actually, sorry. I have cracked open the document, Rob, and went looking for that paragraph, and it is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you now is you should both read it in at the same time, so we get it in stereo and go twice as mad.
If Boris was said to stand for something in the Brexit debate, it was a kind of chaotic optimism that somehow Britain would prevail in our amateur can-do manner, almost by force of character. Johnson's
chaotic
faith in this vision
is certainly one way to describe it.
I think that's one of the 9 alignments, isn't it? Or
yeah, it's another word for chaotic neutral, obviously.
David is lawful pessimism.
Boris Johnson was said to stand for one thing during Brexit, and it was land rig.
It was a very personal plea. Johnson also relies on this momentum of chaotic optimism to keep him lurching onward and away from the mess in his wake.
I mean, again, no. It's literally just he's a fucking creation of the fucking media. Like, that's his entire career from start to finish has been just a fucking ghost, nothing. And like, now that they've decided that he's not worth the time to defend, and it's now just more profitable to attack him, that's why they're doing it. It's very, very fucking simple, rather than all this contrived nonsense about him being some like Shakespearean figure who has struggled against whatever the fuck this woman thinks that Boris Johnson's struggles have ever been.
It was probably quite difficult to lift the wallpaper. It was so laden with riches.
Just like, that fucking wallpaper was more expensive than the rent on my last flat, for fuck's sake.
I have made the mistake. I opened this document to look at that paragraph Rob was reading out, and I've made a mistake of looking at the next paragraph.
Yeah,
and I think I might have just had an aneurysm. Can I read this one, Rob? Can I have a stab at reading this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Chaotic energy can be entertaining, endearing, and relatable. Dylan the dog provides a psychoanalytic model for Johnson to acquire some perspective on himself. Johnson told firefighters that Dylan was endlessly up on people's legs at Downing Street. There are apocryphal stories of Johnson on his hands and knees at Chequers, trying to extract important historical books from the ever more playful Dylan's jaws. until Johnson was said to shout, not seriously, "Someone shoot that fucking dog!"
Oh, what? Well,
Not seriously, in like huge air quotes, do you know what I mean?
Dylan the dog provides a psychoanalytic model for Johnson to acquire
I'm
some
picturing it in a
perspective on
polo
himself.
neck and like little round glasses, like, you know what I mean? Sitting fucking asking him to describe his mother.
I'm sitting there with my calipers, Boris Johnson's skull, and this dog's skull, and I'm just weighing them up in both my hands and thinking, yep.
Haha, wouldn't it be terrible if someone shot the dog? Haha, I'm sure we would all really not like to see what that would look like. Haha, haha.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you should do is beat the dog to death while wearing a kimono. The almost unbearable stresses of illness, new parenting and bereavement grew on a new couple who were isolated not just by COVID, but also through the difficulty of friendship strained by their gaping 24-year age difference.
By the way, can we just also go back and remember that they got together while Boris Johnson's previous wife was being treated for cancer? So,
yeah.
I've got very little. I can't really produce tears for these two.
Well, I was on board with Boris Johnson until you said that.
Yeah, at the same time, he cucked Harry Cole to who's to say if he's good or not.
I don't care how much like bereavement and fucking illness and whatever the third thing was they've been through. I am not
pestilence.
Wallpaper.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I am not giving the single slightest fuck about like Boris Johnson. So I don't care how like sympathetic this fucking Rumbelows dipshit tries to make them sound. Do you know what I mean? Like. The wallpaper costs more than I've earned in my entire life so far. Do you know what I mean? They can shove it up the fucking arses, quite frankly.
Then there was the little thing on top of running a government in a pandemic. Sorry. Then there was the little thing. Then there was the little.
Do you need to run up to this one, Rob?
I smell toast. Why is my arm tingling?
Rob, as a precautionary measure, would you like me to take over the reading?
No, I can do this. I'm strong.
Are you sure? Right, okay.
Then there was the little thing on top of running a government in a pandemic. No wonder there were reports of ready meal deliveries mounting up in the Count Downing Street kitchen. They did in our house too. I don't want politicians too perfect.
Rob, you're just adding new words in that weren't even in the fucking...
Yeah, I just tried to make it readable.
This is what happens when a cycle stays too long into the warp.
Also, that line about the ready meal deliveries mounting up in the Downing Street kitchen, that triggered vestigial memories for me. And I had a look at it. There was a report in the Daily Mail a couple months ago that they had 27,000 quid's worth of organic luxury ready meal deliveries, some which was paid for by donors. So, you know.
Donors.
Yeah. But chaotic energy can also be exhausting and irresponsible. In all this relentlessness, there is no time for wisdom. Theresa May, David Cameron, Gordon Brown, Tony Blair, Margaret Thatcher, they mostly
These are just some of the prime ministers we've had.
Yeah. Are we hurtling towards an inevitable Webster's dictionary defining prime minister as?
They mostly have.
In conclusion, Boris Johnson is a land of contrast, and who is to say?
When their political downfall came, it was usually associated with high stakes and serious policy: the Iraq War, Black Wednesday, or a Brexit referendum. Likewise, it would be hard to imagine...
hang on. The fucking Iraq War did not take out Tony Blair. Like, what the fuck?
It really didn't.
It absolutely 100% did fucking not in any way, shape, or form.
He was taken out by a Scottish man throwing Nokia phones.
Likewise, it would be hard to imagine May joining staffers for drinks at a similar point in a lockdown. She does not have Johnson.
I'm sorry, but like this fucking girl bossification of Theresa May is some of the most.
We prefer the boring fascist, Bring us back the competent, boring fascists.
Do you know what it is as well? It's like the idea that any fucking prime minister we've ever had was somehow better than this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it goes back to like what I was saying before about how the NHS can be as shit as it likes as long as it exists. The BBC can be as shit as it likes as long as it exists, so that they can point to these things and talk about how great like Britain is.
Well, it's FBPE brain again. Their whole thing now is Boris. It's like they did with Trump. Boris Johnson is the worst prime minister we've ever had, and you just sort of go, no, they're all like this.
But he's the worst we've ever had because he looks unserious.
Yeah, if he was serious.
When Theresa May was in charge, she was a fucking absolute ghoul and an S-tier dipshit. But at least, like, you know what I mean? At least you could point at her and go, "Oh, look, a girl boss is prime minister." Oh, and all this, you know what I mean?
But we are at the equivalent though that whatever monster comes after Boris Johnson, I will tell you now, give it 10 years if he's not, died by licking a plug, socket or like. What will happen is he will become our George W. Bush, where people go, "Oh, do you remember Boris Johnson? Like when he was hanging off the zip line, wasn't he funny and brilliant? Yeah. He's not as bad as the undead prime minister we have now, sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to the death portal."
I mean, I think that's a bit far fetched for Priti Patel. 500 souls a day at most.
Well, we're already sacrificing some 300, so
It would be hard to imagine May joining staffers for a drink at a similar point in lockdown.
No, it wouldn't. It absolutely wouldn't.
Actually, no, it would in one way, which is that none of the staff liked her. So
she does not have Johnson's Henry VIII style appetite for revelry or rule breaking, or
get
indeed
in the
marriages.
Fucking bin, will you?
This girl boss shit, by the way, Rumbelow has form because I went looking and she can't stop writing articles about how wonderful Harriet Harman of all people is.
Say what you like about Harriet Harman. She always kept up her monthly payments on a telly.
We know that Johnson and Carrie's relationship intensified at her flat on the night of her 30th birthday. Johnson, then Foreign Secretary, attended solo despite being still married to Marina Wheeler, his second wife and mother of his 4 children. And also
arriving with a pizza and 2 cans of Coke.
Intensified.
Also, I'm sorry, but 4 children? Is that the official number?
No, it was 6 earlier.
No, it's 4 with her, and then
He's
an
got
indeterminate
4 with
number
her,
of others.
And two others, and then the new 2.
Is that known, or could just estimated?
Until we line them up for a 23andMe, we don't know.
There are no known children, there are known unknown children, there are unknown. Johnson danced his heart out to ABBA in a kind of disco...
Oh, God. I just remembered this bit. Oh, God.
Yeah. Johnson danced his heart out to ABBA in a kind of disco version of a peacock display for his new love. The songs included, of course, The Winner Takes It All. We also know that before they moved into Downing Street together, they had an almighty row in Carrie's flat, recorded by neighbours. It was very...
Sorry, do they mean domestic dispute that the police were called to?
Yes.
Yeah, but it turns out not to be real because the neighbour once voted Labour and is therefore an untrustworthy scumbag.
Yeah, remember when the papers fucking went after the neighbours for reporting?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It was variously speculated that the cause of the ferocious argument was Johnson's contact with Wheeler or Jennifer Arcuri, the American businesswoman who claims she has a 4-year relationship with Johnson while he was London mayor, or maybe just some spilt red wine. So,
who's to say? I'm only a journalist. Why would I ask any further questions? It could be any of these things. Why bother looking into it further? I'll just continue to write the fictional account of this living prime minister.
Did she first write this on DeviantArt and then decided to copy paste it over because she thought it would make them up?
Yeah. Ron Below is also a prolific writer on literotica. The response to this debacle from the Johnson camp may have looked like a place from a political spin textbook, a staged photo of Johnson and Kerry in a meadow, but it was also something else, an insight into Kerry's generation gap with Johnson. He did not take to social media, whereas she has been a natural professional and personal communicator on it from long before she became involved with him. It explains a lot.
Oh, so she's a poster?
Yes, but on Instagram. So not really. I don't think people on Instagram... Yeah, that's not real poster. Yeah. You don't have poster brain if you're on Instagram.
That's where Brendan O'Neill posts, so who can say?
From underneath his hat.
See, these are the political goals of the left now, to chase shitheads off of Twitter. The bigger the scalp, the better.
Her father, Matthew Simons, was co-founder of The Independent. No surprise, Kerry went into communications and rose to become director of communications. See, when you mention the word communications twice in one line, that's good writing.
We won't investigate this relationship between parents and their children's careers, isn't it? We'll just leave that there.
Interesting that there's no mention there of the proven fact that she was removed for expenses irregularities. Just no mention of that.
How interesting.
And rose to become Director of Communications at the Conservative Party. She also enjoyed growing a following on Instagram. Then there's a couple of paragraphs about Instagram, which I won't read because I don't care about Instagram and it's boring. Anyway, Johnson managed, for a while, to regain the disastrous narrative of the early response to the pandemic with his victorious vaccine rollout, and his weight loss, aided by a personal trainer, parentheses open, a source say he loves to eat at Checkers, where there's a cook, closes period. But he is losing control again, losing his writer's credit, while he becomes more like an exhausted and overproduced subject of the reality TV that is Downing Street.
None of that makes any sense. None of that makes any sense at all. Just go back to the point where this woman writes, he managed for a while to regain the disastrous narrative. What?
Look, Mick, the thing you're misunderstanding is that this was written in plain manuscript at first with no punctuation, and she loaded up a shotgun with all the punctuation and just fired it. And this is what we've got.
I can sympathise a little bit with Boris Johnson because every day I wake up and regain a terrible narrative.
Jesus Christ. It is yet to be seen whether the public are still committed to a second season.
Oh, fucking get fuck.
It's like Game of Thrones where the end of the first series, the good guy dies and then the second season starts, and there's also good guys in that too. Sorry, I forgot where I was going with this article.
No, it's in the second season. That's when a Nazi motorcycle gang comes to the charming little town, and the good motorcycle gang has to defend it. I think that's what's going on.
No, we're not doing that shit at all. I will watch some fucking absolutely atrocious piss for this podcast, but we are not talking about Sons of fucking Anarchy. I draw the line.
Yeah, that show taught me the meaning of a sunk cost fallacy. Jesus wept. As Johnson has been reading in Tender is the Night, one character tells Dick... How is this still
going on? I thought we'd reached a natural, a natural finale there with the...
Listen, if she can't finish a fucking sentence, how do you expect her to finish an article?
Is there at least a petrol station before the end where we stop and get snacks?
One character tells Dick that so many smart men go to pieces nowadays. And when haven't they, Dick asks. Smart men play close to the line because they have to. Some of them can't stand it, so they quit. And
what the fuck did you just read to me?
Yeah, what the fuck? Who's Dick?
I think when she finished the article, she just accidentally pasted something that was copied on the clipboard.
Earlier on in the article, in a passage that was cut out in this reading, she refers to Tom McCaig's horrible Johnson profile from last year, where in that Boris Johnson pretends to him that he's reading Tender is the Night. He's read the cliff notes of Tender is the Night.
I think that's being kind, if anything.
And then that allows Tom McTague to be fooled into thinking, gulled even further than he already was, into thinking that Boris Johnson is like this character. And so that has now made its way into the Rumbelows television rentals article.
Genuinely thought you were going to end that sentence with cinematic universe.
That, by the way, that Tom McTague piece is also where McTague describes Boris as a tornado of bonhomie.
Yeah, I wrote a whole thing on that, and it still physically damaged me. I think I'm mentally never recovered.
Yeah, he wrote yet another masterpiece in The Atlantic about the mental state and psyche of Britain and whether or not we'll ever recover, which we may do in a future episode.
Oh, he went on a little holiday around, and it's quite special. It's his version of Seb Payne driving around England in a fucking Mini, telling us that the North is a different place.
Something else.
Oh, fucking hell.
Anyway, so...
You'll be glad to know that's the article over.
Yeah, we've learned a lot today, haven't we?
Yeah, but you say that, David, but there's going to be another article at some point. I'm just dreading that already.
There will be, next week.
Maybe. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Well, that was great. Can we read it again?
Well, we can read the missing paragraphs if you want, because I cut a whole bunch of shit out of this.
No, we're not fucking reading numerous paragraphs about Instagram. No. I put my foot down.
Are you sure? I can grab them for you.
If you're listening to this in work, by the way, I really hope that you weren't doing anything important or with heavy machinery in the middle of that, because you might want to check and see what's happened around you since.
Please emerge from the fugue state, listener, and examine your surroundings.
Step out of the forklift and make sure you left no witnesses. Oh, all right. I think that'll just do us here then. No need for comment or commentary at, because Mick's on and Mick's too good at it. So.
We're retiring comment and commentary at because Mick is too good.
Yes.
Cowards.
Well, at some point we'll do like a Masters League, and I'll pick like things from, I don't know, Mongolian comment sections or something.
Yeah, no, like we'll do mastermind comment or commentariat essentially for you, Mick, at some point.
Oh,
that'd actually be quite good.
Yeah.
Just do
anyway. That's a curse
comment or commentariat, but it's entirely like fucking tweets. Do you know what I mean?
No. This is getting back to guess the press now.
Blue tick or not? Do you know what I mean? That's a fairly cursed game you can play.
Blue tick or prick?
Both, probably.
Yeah,
always. Okay, cool. Let us wrap this up then. So, Mick, what would you like to plug? Where can people find you and your work?
If you really want to. Go to @Broken Bottle Boy, @Broken Bottle Boy on Twitter, where you find all of this horrific material for your delectation. But it is a psychically damaging Twitter feed, so consume at your own risk.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
It's also very good. I can also vouch for that.
Well, thank you.
All right,
you are
cool. And
bunch of masochists.
Yes.
All I'll say is reading Mick's Twitter, it breaks your brain in interesting ways, and at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather be interesting than boring, right?
Oh dear. Okay, right, we'll wrap that up. You can follow us on Twitter @PraxisCast. You can get bonus episodes on the Patreon, which is patreon.com/PraxisCast, and you can get t-shirts at teespring.com/praxiscast. And stickers, which are very expensive for some reason. We're looking into it.
Yeah.
Also, you can
probably don't buy the stickers, because we're gonna find a cheaper way to do them. Because I mean, like, I just like uploaded the sticker and hit OK. I didn't look at the price, so you know what I mean. And you've got the default price that like Teespring apparently think is fair for one sticker, and
imagine how much it would cost to like wallpaper a room with our stickers.
I was literally going the same place in my head.
Fresh stickers, yeah.
Succulent stickers.
Okay, so if you would like that, then yeah, you can go there. Otherwise, just wait and we'll see if we can source them elsewhere. And if you would like streams, then you can catch us on twitch.tv/PraxisCast Monday and Thursday nights from 7:30. And we will see you next week.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Cheerio.
Catch
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.